Taurus Frienderinos. Ambi Nicole here. Today I'm going to be doing a follow-up to the 90s tag I did last week, and we are going to be doing the 2000s tag. Well, the early 2000s tag to be exact. It's been a really exciting week in my YouTube life. The 90s tag went fabulously. Girls who ended up participating from The Real Women of YouTube, and we had a blast making the videos. I've had a blast watching them. I will leave the playlist down below. And I am calling all YouTubers to participate this tag. If you were a kid in the early 2000s, teenager, young adult, whatever, whoever feels like doing it. Piece of hair trying to work its way into my mouth. But yeah, if you want to do it, feel free to do it. And if you do one, please leave the links to your videos in my comments. I do encourage it. Alrighty, right into the tag. Number 1, favorite early 2000s movie. As always, I have a few of them. I'm going to go ahead and say that, like, the sequel and maybe even the third Jurassic Park movies, I used to watch those daily, probably. We're gonna go ahead and say that anything before 2006 or 5-ish would be considered early 2000s, so I think that Napoleon Dynamite was really one of my favorites that happened during that time. I remember in school, like, it was kind of sad how long we were all making Napoleon Dynamite references and thinking that it was still cool.
Your mom goes to college.
I just watched that movie not too long ago, and I still laughed really hard. My mom and I, we have a lot of inside jokes that we still use from Napoleon Dynamite. I think Donnie Darko was an early 2000s movie, wasn't it? That one was super awesome. Number 2, favorite artist of the early 2000s. It's hard because in the 2000s, that's when things really started to kind of change for me. I had gone through the pop phase in the 90s and maybe even early into the 2000s, but I'd always had a little bit of a taste for, like, punk rock music and stuff like that, and, you know, more of the grungy things in the 90s, alternative music, and eventually kind of a heavy metal type of deal. I was super obsessed with the band Korn. I don't even know. I still kind of am, but when they came out, I was just like, yeah, these guys are heavy and I want to know more. I mentioned Blink-182 in my 90s tag as well, but I'm going to have to bring them up in the 2000s because that's when they really, like, started to build popularity quickly, showing up on MTV and stuff like that. And honestly, it still rocked. Oh, the early 2000s. I went to my first concert with my best friends to this day, Ashley and Melissa, and it was Warped Tour 2004. We saw many bands that day. We saw Good Charlotte, New Found Glory, The Bouncing Souls. Saw Fall Out Boy at Warped Tour 2004, and later that day we ran into Pete Wentz hanging out in the crowd, and we got to meet him, and something to go back to school and brag about. 3, favorite candy. My favorite candy in the 2000s, I think, was when the Nerds Ropes came out. Yeah, those things. They're like this really delicious red, like, gummy sort of ropey thing covered in Nerds. They'll have them, and you really need to eat one if you haven't. I was addicted to those things in the early 2000s. And Wonka bars. What the heck happened to Wonka bars? Do you guys remember? They were like the most delicious milk chocolate, and they had like these little cookie crumbles in them. I used to get them down the street from my grandma's house at the Sunoco, and they were just, oh my gosh, they were so good. I don't even know what I would do for one of those right now, but I would do something crazy. Favorite game, board game, video game, etc. I guess in the 2000s, I was starting to get into, like, a little bit of the third-person shooter kind of games, and I've always been a horror movie kid, so Silent Hill 1 and 2 on PlayStation 1 and 2. I still kind of play those when I can, at least. I try to play those at least once a year during Halloween if I can. I love them. I keep PlayStations around and the games just so if I happen to have the chance, I can keep that little tradition of mine going. I think that a lot of the things that went on with like the GameCube as far as the Zelda games and other games that kind of made a comeback during that time from like the Nintendo 64, those were fabulous. 5, favorite fashion trend. Once again, I was kind of going through a crazy transition during the early 2000s. I went from being the kid who loved Spice Girls to kind of getting into more alternative things. So I went through a couple phases, and I think that the punk emo thing kind of took over me for the longest time. And I don't know, I guess I loved when it was just like all of a sudden okay for girls to put streaks of crazy colors in their hair and stuff. I thought that was cool. You know me, I gotta have my coffee break. Once again, I almost forgot the rules. If you're gonna be fancy, you gotta have your pinky out. Number 6, favorite book. In the early 2000s, my favorite book was a book that we read in school called The Giver. I know it became a movie recently, and the movie was decent, but at the time that I read that book, like, it was just such an unheard of, mind-blowing type of situation that that author wrote about, and it was, like, really some Twilight Zone kind of stuff, like, it was balloon. Read The Giver. 7, favorite clothing store. That was another kind of weird transitional time. I still had a lot of the, like, preppiness in me, I guess, or wannabe preppiness. I don't know what you would call it, but I really liked going to Hot Topic to get kind of my band t-shirts. I liked to go to PacSun to get, like, you know, some kind of colorful surfer, skater kind of clothes. But then I also like to go to Hollister because they had the jeans that fit me. I did not care what the cost was. It's hard to find clothes that fit me properly, so Hollister just always, and honestly to this day, still makes the only pants that fit me right. 8, favorite children's show. Courage the Cowardly Dog was definitely one of my favorite shows during that time. It was really funny, and it still is really funny. If you haven't seen Courage, definitely check him out. He used to be on Cartoon Network. I'm sure there might still be reruns somewhere, or maybe you can find him on Netflix, Hulu, one of those kinds of things. Of course, SpongeBob was hilarious to me at that time. Even though I was a little bit older, I found humor in a lot of the adult jokes, and I really don't think I have to explain that too much. I think we've all heard and seen some questionable things while watching SpongeBob SquarePants. 9, favorite Disney Channel original movie. We did cover this question in the 90s tag, but this question is referring to Disney Channel original movies made between year 2000 and 2006. Remember Smart House with Katie Sagal. You may remember her from Married with Children or Sons of Anarchy or any other crazy number of television shows and movies. She's amazing. This question's funny. Circa 2004, Team Lohan or Team Duff? Lindsay Lohan, hello. The Parent Trap. Mean Girls. We won't talk about some of the things that she did, but honestly, Team Lohan. 11, MTV or VH1. I was sadly a victim of both. I liked VH1 because I could see pop-up video and watch all the old music videos that I liked. But I also kind of liked MTV as well because at the time they did still play some music, and TRL at least would play like Blink-182 and a couple other songs and bands that I was hip to, so either one would do. 12, what did you do after school? First, I would find something to eat, typically some form of Lunchable, Pop-Tart, fruit snack, or granola bar. I would call my friends Ashley and Amanda who live down the road. I would get on my bicycle. We would either go to the park through the creepy little trail between our little subdivision and the really cool brand new like funded park that was right over there. It's really cool, like super long driveway, and it had enough space at the end where I could turn around perfectly on my rollerblades and do another lap. So I spent probably most of my time doing that. Alrighty, Forest friends, that is it for the 2000's tag. I hope you enjoyed. I will be seeing you all on my next video. I will leave you guys some information down below if you'd like to follow me in my other forms of social media. My Instagram is pretty fun. And don't forget to check out all the other videos that might come from this tag. I know that my girls on The Real Women of YouTube are going to be doing this tag. So if you want to, definitely get a hold of me and let me know that you are doing one. And we will make sure that we leave your link for it down below as well. Thank you guys. See you next time. Bye.